what we are doing in FinTrack and what we are doing in ESG LLP. So if my screen is visible, this is our small advisory entity called ESG LLP, where we are
No,
mostly
Neeraj,
working.
I can't see your screen.
One sec. Welcome.
Yeah. Now we can see.
Yeah. So we are providing ESG services. ESG is something which is the heart of our two partners who are working with this advisory. We are mostly working with the impact assessment for NGOs. Every year we provide few social impact assessments reports to few NGOs, and we help them support in getting fundings and all. These are all our contents and all which we have mentioned written on ESG. I would share the link of the website with you all in the chat box, and you can always refer some of our content. Coming to our second entity, which is FinTrack Advisors. In FinTrack Advisors, it's a content and a digital platform for all type of different professionals who want to create content for themselves, but they don't have the time or the capacity to write and get it published. We support all the professionals, irrespective of their qualifications, to uh, by supporting them in writing the content of their choice and then getting it published in our platform. And through this, we are very happy to show that we have right now more than 50 plus members in FinTrack across India. And we have already helped to generate around 1 crore of leads for all these members combined. And we will continue to do this. We are also happy that we have been building up capacity building for all the members through our monthly webinars. Uh, we will be sharing the contents and flyers with you in the coming months also, and hope that all of you join our sessions in the coming months. With this, I will not delay the session any further. So we have from Denmark, Mrs. Shilpa Agarwal.
Mrs.
Yeah. So we are very happy to actually have Mrs. Shilpa, because if you remember, Khushbuji, we wanted to have a topic, a discussion in which somebody who has the international experience join us and tell us what is happening in the ESG world from a global perspective. And because of this, Mrs. Shilpa has taken out time from her busy schedule and joining us. I'll just introduce her. So she's the ACS, and she's also a master in business administration from Coventry University, the UK. Currently, she's doing a sustainability reporting specialist in Vestas in Denmark, one of the largest company in renewable energy in the world. She's the ex-ESG auditor in Deloitte, ex-banker with 7 years of experience in reporting and compliance in Bank of India profile. We are very, very delighted and we are honored to have Ms. Shilpa ji with us. Now, I think we can initiate the session with her. Thank you, Shilpa ji, for accepting our invite and joining us today. Khushbu ji, you will be presenting the screen on behalf of Shilpa ji.
Yes, I am presenting. Can you see my screen?
Okay.
Not yet. Yeah, now it's
yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Neeraj and Khushbu, for inviting me for this session. Absolute pleasure and honor to join you. And we have absolute great audience today. So maybe let's go straight to the agenda. We have some slides on how global sustainability reporting framework have been evolving globally, and especially in Europe, where I am currently based in, and also some changing expectations from the ESG practitioner. So I'll give some insights from my experience as a reporting practitioner and also as an ESG auditor. And then Khushbu can talk more about from Indian perspective and how this BRSR framework is evolving in India and how it's bringing ESG reporting and sustainable reporting to Indian companies, and also some challenges. At the end, we can take some questions from the audience, but if you feel like you have some need for some clarifications, feel free to ask in between, but we have some time at the end for the question and answer session. So let's start.
Shilpa, before you start, I would like you tell us what you have done in your previous experience in Deloitte or Vistas, where you are now. So audience can have a perspective like whom they will listen the presentation. Yes.
Yes, yes, of course, Kustu. Thank you for that. I have working as a sustainability reporting specialist, as Neeraj pointed out. Uh, sustain, Before moving to Vestas and in Denmark, I was working in India, in Bank of India, as a reporting and compliance analyst. And way back in 2015 or 2016, I remember when we were in bank, all the financial decision, and let's say you're giving loan to a company or an individual, it was mostly based on their balance sheet. We never used to go and check what kind of environmental impact they are making, or if they're having some labor issues, for example, and those kind of issues. Those were never going into the rating model a bank uses to evaluate an individual or a company. And that used to intrigue me, like how that is not important. We cannot assess the credit worthiness of an individual or an entity just on the basis of their bottom line and top line. We have to see how they are impacting the environment and the even the employees. Let's say what kind of impact they are making. So I wanted to read more about this and maybe go into beyond this numbers part. And I happened to do my master's. And when I was doing my dissertation, I happened to write on a particular legislation which was about SFDR, which was more about the sustainability reporting from bank side and how what kind of measures they use, to show their impact for the investor perspective. And that's how I landed up in sustainability reporting. I had experience from financial reporting, and I understand how structured and harmonized the financial standards are and how different sustainability reporting is. So if I'll put it in this way, for me, sustainability reporting throughout the world is still a toddler, is still learning, is still growing, and we have huge and long way to go to make it more structured. And that's what my experience is it at currently Investors. The way I see it, the companies, especially Europe and also in Nordic countries, they are way ahead when it comes to sustainability reporting. I'm really glad to see this new framework coming in India, but in Europe, companies have been doing it for years. So they have this mature ecosystem, and their data owners are aware of how to report on their data. They have the documentation and audit trail and all those. So maybe I'll bring some experience from that today. Yeah. So
Yes.
this is what I've already talking about, the how these trends and things have been evolving in sustainability reporting throughout the world, and why suddenly sustainability reporting has become so critical. The first and most important reason has been investors' demand. So as I was talking about one of the other legislation, SFDR, investors now like asking proactively from the companies what kind of impact you are making to the world. Or let's say if it's a beverage company and they are extracting groundwater and they are making profit, but what about the impact they are making on the community, the villages, the water scarcity which can arise due to those kind of water utilization in that area. So investors want to know this, and there is regulatory pressure coming out of this, and which is leading to not just voluntary reporting, but also a mandatory reporting. So I remember when we were in bank and like we were thinking of doing this report in some way, but there was no fixed template or structure or a requirement from government side at that point of time. So we were just reaching out to different teams. Okay, if you have if you have some stories of let's say financial inclusion, or if you have given some loan to some farmers and you feel like you've impacted those farmers, so if you like to tell those stories. So we were doing something, but there was not a structured way. So companies were doing sustainability reporting or ESG reporting or let's say CSR activities, but there has been no standard KPIs or standard templates to do it, and then it makes them non-comparable. So, but now when things are becoming more or less structured and different companies are coming with their own frameworks and regulation, now we have standard KPIs, the narrative, the structure, the templates, the comparability, and everything, which brings this this important question that how we can make this sustainability reporting at par with financial reporting, and that has become an interest for everyone, and it's also changing the expectations of stakeholders. So employees also want to know, okay, if I'm working in a company, what kind of impact that company is making. I mean, I that's such an important question for me, at least. So let's say when I joined Vesta, I had another job offer, and I was so glad to see, okay, I'm working in a company which is just not claiming it's a sustainable, but actually producing wind energy, which all of us know. We have to be a jerk not to know, like wind energy is making such a important impact on the environment. When we use wind energy as an as a energy, we are reducing so much carbon footprint on this planet. So that was an important question for me as an employee, and those similar kind of questions might arise from the customers, from the lenders, from the, so to have transparent reporting. So especially, I'm not aware how much like customers demand when they put, let's say there is a tender for a company, and in Europe, there is a huge demand when customers buy anything. They would like to know what kind of carbon footprint a company has, what kind of like a safety measures the company is using, if it has significant impact on the health of the or health of an employee. So those kind of questions are very important, especially in European companies, and
In India
also
also,
supply.
where I was Shilpa,
Yes.
I was when I was doing this ESG advanced ESG practitioners course. So we get to know about some cases where the banks are looking for this kind of thing, ki whether the company is how company is generating the carbon footprint, and based on that, the bank is giving them the finance if it is green finance. So carbon footprint is more or less now banks are really very proactive and looking after these factors also here in India as well. Not at that level what Europe is doing, but in India also these factors are now considered.
Yes, super glad to hear that, Khushbu. And yes,
Yes.
I totally agree. We are getting there, and we all are learning. So it's a huge opportunity for all of the practitioners who are present today in this webinar. That because they are at this level now, they can, because if you can see this slide, we are currently in the third phase of sustainability reporting, where it's more about mandatory disclosures, and we can all learn from how we can make our disclosures at par and at comparable. So when different companies report, let's say, on their emissions, on their water usage or pollution or whatever, their social data, how they can make it comparable and audit ready. That should be the first priority for the ESG practitioners, and also for the consultants when they advise companies on their sustainability reporting. Yeah, maybe you can go to the next slide. Yes, so we have so many major global frameworks here. Um, on this slide, how I see it, GRI, SESB, TCFD, and even ISSB, we had all these frameworks and legislation before CSRD came into picture. CSRD, which stands for Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, is one of the largest sustainability reporting directive which has been implemented throughout Europe for the largest companies with some significant operations in Europe. And currently, when this has been implemented, it overrides all the other regulations. So we kind of still have GRI, let's say in US and also in Middle East, they use this GRI regulations, which is kind of more overarching regulation. Both, mm, I think it applies.
So
Yes.
the other frameworks are not in use in Europe. They are using the CSRD right now. No.
I won't say it's not in use. The thing is, because it's a legal requirement for the
Okay.
largest companies to report as per CSRD, they have to do the CSRD reporting. And then they can choose and pick if they want to have some elements of, let's say, GRI or SESB, if they have, let's say, a company like Vesta has operations in US. So they have to do some of the reporting if it's required under SESB if the company has some operation in US. But because it's headquartered in Europe, in Denmark, their major annual report will follow the standard and the template for CSRD reporting. So that's
In
why it has been
GRI is there.
very important. Yes,
Yes.
GRI SSB is still there. I mean TCFD. Some companies which are not following CSRD, so the let's say the mid-sized company or the smaller companies, they can still use the TCFD. ISSB and IFRS S1 and S2 standards are let's say the way we are moving towards it, and it's about it's more investor focused sustainability climate disclosures. The way market is moving, and they want to make it at par with financial standards. So even if CSRD is there, let's say in US we don't have those kind of regulations, and maybe even if we have, it's a bit different. So what ISSB want is they want to have a harmonized structured, harmonized standard and reporting throughout the globe. So that's why they are trying to have this IFRS S1 and S2.
Noted.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
next is sustainable reporting practices. Yeah, in Europe.
Yes. So yes. So maybe some practices from Europe, and as I already was discussing about CSRD reporting, which has become mandatory reporting for the large companies, which brings a very important concept now, which is double materiality assessment. Maybe the audience here are not very much aware of CSRD reporting. I just thought maybe it will be because we are moving towards now sustainability reporting at par with global standard even in India. So maybe you would like to know how different companies throughout world are doing this reporting, and what goes into when a company chooses to do the sustainability reporting for the first time, how they can start. So the
So
most
what is
important
this double materiality
concept.
assessment?
Yes, I can discuss what it is. So let's say when we do financial reporting, one of the most important concept is double entity concept, if I'm correct. So that's the backbone of accounting, right? So we
Double
have to
entry
start
system.
having
Yeah.
double entry system. So similar to that, I'll say I cannot quote it that is exactly something like that, but maybe just to give you an example. So when we use and when we think, okay, what we are going to report when in our sustainability statement or sustainability reporting, we have to think not just of what impact a company is making on the environment, but also the outside impact. So what risk and opportunities are there in the market which is impacting the company? So both in and out in. So if I can give an example, let's say for a company, if they are making a footwear and they are using some facilities in an area, and the raw material they're extracting, or let's say the scrap, the waste they are using, they are discarding in an area. There's the out inside out impact. So company is impacting the environment. And in the similar way, let's say then another company is not making that kind of impact, and that company is having, let's say, nice recyclable facility in that area, and then that company is not making that impact. So then there's a risk for the first company. So there's like outside in impact. Maybe it's a bit technical to understand, but that's how this concept works. So when a company decides that they will, let's say, report on 10 KPIs or 10 metrics, they have to do this whole assessment using all the inputs from the different stakeholders. And that's how I see the challenge for sustainability reporting, because in financial reporting is generally the finance team who does it, and they know the in and out of all the metrics and the data. But when it comes to reporting on the social data, let's say a company has to work with different teams. They have to collaborate with different data owners who are based maybe in different areas to understand, okay, how a metric could be reported. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And then the next concept is mandatory external assurance. So I don't know, maybe in how many companies the BRSR framework has been implemented in India, Khushbu, if you can tell.
Top 1000 listed companies, it is applicable now. So we will see this Reliance Industries BRSR report. It is applicable
So,
there.
okay, so the rest of the companies, which are not this 1000 companies, when they will be doing any kind of CSR activities, let's say, how whatever they do is not under assurance requirement, and they can basically report anything which is not comparable. But when these 1000 companies are reporting, what the numbers they are reporting, if they are reporting, let's say, emissions, those have to be audit ready, because if I am not sure if there is an audit requirement in India yet, or maybe yes, if there is a limited assurance on those KPIs.
Yeah, this BRSR reporting has to be done. Neeraj, you can tell
So
upon
the
it.
top 1000 companies by market capitalization, now they are doing BSR reporting. The first year it was voluntarily. The scope of the BSR reporting is ever increasing. And I think in the BSR reporting also they have made two types of reporting format. One is BSR light and one is BSR, I think, comprehensive. I don't remember the name. So basically what happens is
Core. It's core.
out of the top. Yes, Sundaji, if you want to speak.
No, I just wanted to say it's BSR Lite and BSR Core.
Correct. Sorry. Yeah. So accordingly, the reporting format for the BSR core is more comprehensive, and BSR Lite is a bit more relaxed or more flexible. So this way, there are two type of reporting right now, and the government plans to increase the number of companies slowly and steadily. I think over the couple of years, you will see more and more companies by market capitalization getting added into this BSR reporting framework.
Yeah, that's really good to hear about how things are evolving so fast in India in this space. Yes, and then maybe I'll quickly take two more points, because we are running out of time for my slides. We have two more concepts when it comes to this reporting in Europe. One is digital tagging. So similar to financial reporting, if someone is here from financial reporting, they know that when a company is reporting on different paragraphs, let's say they have these tags. I don't know what it is called in India. So those tags could be easily read by, let's say, machines.
Yes. In
and
India
those,
also, if you see Reliance report, it is like given. You can click and get the report there. Digital tagging is there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So that makes the reports really user friendly, and also now we know, because most of the reports and companies, they use AI to read their report. When they have these tags, it becomes easier to compare and take out some summary from an annual report, and that's how the companies are also going forward, let's say. But it's still work in the progress even in Europe to have this tagging for sustainability KPIs, but we are getting there. And one of the also important development which has happened now is integration with the annual report. So the sustainability statement has to be part of the annual report. Companies cannot have a separate sustainability statement. So that kinds of make it so critical for the investors and also for the management, to put exactly same amount of effort on the sustainability statement as they have for financial reporting. So it's not like it's just some storytelling, or we want to tell some impact about, like, say, cyber security or whatever is material for the company. They cannot do it. It has to be done in a structured way, the way they do their annual reporting. Yeah. Any questions so far? Maybe you can move to the next slide then. Yeah, then we have some examples from 3 companies. One is Novo Nordisk, which is based in Denmark, which is one of the largest company in pharmaceutical throughout the world, and which has global operations. So now, after CSRD and sustainability reporting, they are publishing their scope 3 data. They are issuing data about gender parity metrics. So let's say in a company, we can see India is still a country in transition, and we know there is some issue of disparity, let's say when it comes to females in the board and so on, but we don't get a comparable data where exactly company are, maybe because they are not required by the law to report on their data, what kind of females they have in the board, or let's say in the employee. I don't know if there is a reporting on that, but after this PSRD reporting, they are required to do this disclosure. Uh, and I also brought some examples from Vestas where I'm currently working, and we are focusing so much on the net zero and SBTI targets. So SBTI target is the science-based target initiative. So when a company has any emissions, and they have to report on it, there is a, let's say, a framework which is defined by SBTI on how to calculate these emissions and how to report these emissions. And companies in general globally follow this SBTI guideline when it comes to reporting on their emissions. And also maybe it's a bit technical, so I won't run through everything here, but maybe you can read this slide and get to know what kind of. I can't hear you, Khushbu. You're muted, Khushbu.
If you can explain the audience about scope 1, 2, 3 emissions, what are these? If somebody
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Maybe I'll put it very simply. So scope 1 is something what you own. So let's say a company is owning a building for their office. So whatever that building is using as energy, and out because of that emission, whatever is emission is there is scope 1 emission. And then let's say if that company is buying electricity for running the power within that building, that is scope 2. And anything beyond the scope 1 and 2 is scope 3. So let's say a refrigerator company, when it sells fridge and it goes to the consumer, and then consumer uses energy to run that fridge, and whatever emissions come out of that energy, that's scope 3. So whatever is beyond scope 1 and 2 is scope 3. And in fact, the scope 3 is become the most critical thing, because that has the largest impact when it comes to the carbon footprint.
That is beyond our control, I think, the scope 3 emissions.
I mean, it's I won't say it's beyond control, but it's something not directly
Measurement
within
is
your
difficult.
influence. Yes, that's in fact one of the important challenge when it comes to reporting and disclosure, because the data for scope 3 emissions will come from suppliers and which are in tier 2 or tier 3 in the value chain of the company. And let's say if we have a small supplier and they don't have that kind of data management system, then it becomes difficult for the company to consolidate that data. So of course, yes, there is challenge in scope 3 data. Agree.
Yes.
Shilpa ji, I think we have one query from Ms. Dharitri Panda. Dharitri ji, you can unmute yourself and ask the query.
Okay. Do you want me to tell at the end, or else I can ask question now?
Yeah, you can ask now.
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So I wanted to know, I was confused how gender parity is linked to sustainability reporting, because I don't think as a whole, gender is a different parameter to sustainability, right? So how is it there in the CSDR report or whatever, scope 3 data? That is one. Second question is, can you elaborate on the digital tagging? Is it like a QR code or something else? So this, if you can explain. Third question is, like when India exports, like a specific example, if I take on textiles, like handlooms and textiles. So here, the issue which Indian companies like handicrafts and textiles are unable or have an issue for export because of these strict sustainability reporting standards, right? So what suggestions you can give for these kind of problems where, like if you see handloom is a typical example where though it's all made from, sustainable practices, but yet you need to have those compliances, which probably because they are small MSMEs, they probably are unable to pass the test, right? So how does one face these problems or get over these problems? Even though we don't have, but if we export, we need to meet their criteria, right? If you're exporting to EU and all that. So these three questions I have.
Yeah. Maybe Khushbu, you are showing something. You want to
I
say
am showing
something?
this digital tagging. If I am correct, Shilpa, you can correct me. This is the sustainability report, BRSR reporting of Reliance Industries, which I have downloaded. So you can see this slide is like 51 pages. Okay. So table 1 is content. This is what we do in the BRSR. Section 1 is general disclosure. Section B, management and process disclosure. Section C. So if you click here, section B, straight away you will go there. Don't have to find the pages. I think this is digital tagging, Shilpa.
Yes,
You are
yes,
talking
you are
about?
No,
absolutely right.
I believe, Khushbu, that we have something like XBRL even for our ESG reports or BRSR reports.
No, XBRL
So
is there.
digital
It's a
tagging,
reporting framework. But when I want to download the
no.
Reliance
It is
Industries
not a
BRSR
reporting framework. It is a manner of putting together
No,
data
no,
with the proper,
XBRL, I understand, ma'am. I am telling you,
yeah,
it is reporting mechanism which they use in listed companies. Ki we have to upload in XBRL format. But for general
right.
public,
So
if I want to download, I will download just the PDF from the website, which I have done here. So if you click on the sections, if you click on the page number here also, you will go straight away
this
there.
is,
This is
yeah,
digital
this is a
tagging.
digital publishing. This is digital publishing, not tagging per se.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Shilpa, I am correct or you can
This
correct
is
me?
this
Yeah.
this must be digital publishing, not the tagging. Tagging means assets have to be geo-tagged, or is there a sustainable tagging? I mean, tagging means it is tagged against a GIS, Geographic Information System. That is geo-tagging. But if there is a
Okay.
sustainable tagging of something else, that's what I wanted to know. What is
Oh,
digital tagging?
Shilpa, you can
I
explain
think
this.
Yes,
Anuradha,
there is a system of
what
digital tagging of of the assets. And like when you count the sustainability related assets, they do have a tagging mechanism where the data, the asset identification is stored digitally.
maybe I'm not
Shilpa,
an expert here on digital tagging, but what Anuradha was pointing earlier to, or around XBLR and XBLR
XBRL
tag, I think
reporting. Yeah.
that's the correct way we understand, because this digital tagging is yet not fully implemented in Europe. So I'm also not very aware of it, but maybe I can get back on that digital tagging. But to your first question, is someone else having some question?
No, Shilpa,
Maybe
you
I'll go ahead.
continue.
There is an
Continue.
So,
example of digital tagging with like our environmental assets, the forests, the trees, they are digitally tagged.
so GIS based, right? That is digital tagging. Is that it?
Okay.
Our environmental
Yes, to
assets?
some extent, yes, it is GIS based.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Shilpa, kindly
to your
continue.
first Yes, yes. To your first question about gender parity, how it's part of sustainability reporting, I'll say the way we see sustainability reporting and the way we see sustainability, let's say, sustainability is a broader concept which include E, S, and G, where E stands for environment, S stands for social, and G stands for governance. And gender parity is a very important factor and metric under social part, because it's all about how a company is impacting, let's say, employees, the value chain, the community, everything which is like let's say related to human rights, or be it, let's say, women rights, or let's say employee engagement, secured employment, anything related to social part. So that's also a crucial part of sustainability, because yes, when we say in general terms and to a common people, sustainability is all about green energy and environment, but that's not the truth. We In governance, when we talk about tax, or let's say cyber security, that's also a very important part of the governance section within sustainability. So I hope now it will make sense to you why we talk about gender parity when
No,
we talk about
if that is the explanation, then I wouldn't say only gender is the important indicator. Then if it is social, social includes inclusive nature of the company, right? So it doesn't mean
yes,
only
exactly.
gender, it means how accessible the company is for impaired people, these kind of criteria, I would say. Not only specific gender, that's what I see it as.
Yes, you're absolutely right there. And I think there are more than 30 metrics within social, and gender parity was just an example. We do have different metrics, as you are saying, within social, which has to be reported when they are doing their reporting. Yeah. And sorry, I just forgot about your third question. If you can remind me.
The third question is about specifically asking like our handloom sector of India, right?
Yes.
So handlooms, are big textiles and handlooms. We are big exporters to even if you take the example of EU, we are one of the largest exporter to EU on handlooms and textiles. But the issue that our exporters have or our companies have because of their nature of business, they are SMEs, right? Small and cottage industries. And to pass the test of CSRD reporting becomes difficult for them. And that is why many exporters are unable to, go to that, and only large exporters are able to pass those tests. So do you have any examples or sort of opinion on this?
Yeah, first of all, we have to see, because these companies are based in India, they don't have, so it's not an European company, so they are not directly under, requirement from CSRD. But because if, let's say, a company, those who will be using this handloom company as a supplier, so let's say as a tier one or tier two supplier, they will fall under the purview of CSRD reporting. But again, because the nature of this company as a MSME, currently they don't fall under mandatory reporting. That has been delayed till 2029, if I'm correct. So I mean, it gives them sufficient time, because the legislators, they also understand the nature of these companies, and the constraint due to compliance burden and all. So that's why they are giving this kind of time to these smaller companies, to evolve their ecosystem processes and make systems to evolve and get ready for the reporting in 2 3 4 years. So they do have still time for making that matured system ready for the reporting and disclosures.
Okay, thank you.
Shilpa, if you could
Maybe
touch
we
upon
can
the
move.
thresholds for CSRD, that will clarify. I think they have some threshold of number of employees and the market, the revenue size.
I haven't covered that threshold, and I'm not sure if I have that on top of my mind. But maybe currently we have employees with five companies with 500 employees, but there has been some changes now, and now that threshold has increased. So maybe now only companies with more than 1,000 employees, they are within purview of CSRD reporting. But maybe I can share later exactly those numbers when it comes to those threshold, Anuradha.
Thank you.
Dhariti ma'am and Anuradha, you can both talk to me later. I will try to help you in this regard.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, maybe we are running so much out of time, and I think I've taken a lot of time from on my slides, and Khushbu has a lot of slides to
No,
run.
no, you
So
can say you have experience. You can elaborate. No issue. I will cover. We in India we know how BRSR reporting is done. We have the formats also, but globally we don't have these things. So you can cover. No issue. I will just
yes,
touch
thank
upon
you
the
so much,
things.
Khushbu, for that. Yeah. So, because I have some experience as an auditor also, and from the other side of the table, when auditors actually check the sustainability reporting and check the data uh, from the companies, what do they exactly check, and what could be the expectations from the ESG practitioners to make things better and make data auditor ready. So the first and the most important thing is the materiality assessment and stakeholder mapping, because it's not about just qualitative storytelling. Now they also have to report data. They also have to have some documentation. So let's say, if I let's take that example of scope 1 and 2 emission. A company is saying it has 500 megawatt of emission. How do they first of all define scope 1 emission in their documentation? Are they, if a company has, let's say, 100 offices, how do they ensure that emission data from all the 100 offices are covered within that completeness point of view and accuracy point of view? The auditors check all those assertions of completeness and accuracy and cutoff and all those assertions. So all the practitioners who are going within this domain of sustainability reporting, it's very important that they understand that the documentation they are making, the data they are making, the process they are making is done in a proper way and in a scalable way. Because let's say now, because BRSR is new, it has so many exemptions for the company, and let's say they are evolving a Excel structure to report their emissions, and they don't have to do it in a very elaborate way. But let's say after 3 years, they would have to report, in a more comprehensive way. So it's very important that for the companies, when they spend resources on different tools, they make it scalable, that when they have to do more, they have enough bandwidth in their tools and technology to do that. Yeah. And the second point actually follows that point, which is about data governance and controls. So we all know, for when it comes to financial reporting, any number which goes to, let's say, balance sheet of profit and loss account, we have so many controls uh, implemented within the company, so that the numbers which are going to the balance sheet is correct. And similar kind of processes and governance has to be placed also for the, let's say, we cannot say it's just because it's emission data, or let's say it's board gender ratio, so we cannot have that kind of governance, because the regulators will also ask how you have calculated those numbers, and if you have audit trails for that. And the third important point is the policy and strategy alignment. So as I was pointing out earlier also, we sustainability reporting is kind of cumbersome, because it involves collaboration with different teams. So if I'll give example from my experience right now, when we are working in Vestas, we work with so many teams globally to take if we have to do some compliances, not just a team from finance, but also sustainable procurement or manufacturing or PNC, which is the employee team, the rewards team, the management executive team, to get different input which go to the report. So it becomes very, very important that when we are doing this starting now, so we make this whole system where we have enough space to collect input from different teams, so that they also become part of this reporting.
I'm just overlapping this. We do in India also in BRSR. So is this
Okay.
same with Europe also? That identify reporting team, map data owners, identify
Yes, yes,
KPIs.
exactly. Yes, it's the very initial stage actually, which is also part of the double materiality assessment DMA process, where we kind of first identify who are the reporting team, because it's not like a financial reporting where we know, okay, in profit and loss account this is the general ledgers, and these are because these are the people who can give us all the input. Here
We have
input can come
from
very
HR also.
differently.
Yeah.
Yes, from HR also. So team who is going to report first, they also have to know, okay, I have to report this data. I have to have the accounting manual or accounting policy. We have to have process to collect that data. We have to understand, okay, if this is a KPI, then we have to have the accounting principles which will go to the reports, and so on. There is so much elaborate process, even if it sounds like it's just a storytelling. It's so much, so many elements go into this sustainability reporting also, and exactly these are all the elements
We have to
even we
validate also, reconcile also, then draft. It's a long
Yes.
process actually. It takes so much of time to report, to gather their data and all.
Yes, absolutely right, Kusudha.
Yes, yes. In India also, BRSR reporting is done on that framework. Not that expensive, but yes, the process is almost same. If you see, I was talking about Reliance Industries, they have made this report. So this report is, you say, 51 pages. So they have covered every kind of concepts. They have collected data from each departments. So participants can see it's a big report. I'm just going through their own entity details, the products they are doing, services they are doing, what kind of market they are approaching. You can say national, they are 35 numbers location, international 108, Reliance Industries. So what are the sections, customers, employees, everything is there in the BRSR reporting as well. In India only we are seeing the BRSR reporting.
Khushbu, for in the interest of time, I
Yes,
think let us conclude Shilpa ji's
yes, yes,
area of.
yes.
If anybody has any query with Shilpa ji, please feel free to ask. Either you can raise your hand, unmute yourself, and ask. Any query
Yes, I
regarding the.
have a small question for Shilpa ji.
Yeah.
How long does this process of compiling the CSRD report and the assurance take normally? Just a ballpark figure.
Let's say it's a whole annual wheel, Anuradha, if I'll say so. From January, February, we start, because we are in the third year of the CSRD reporting. Now we have this whole matured system, and the data owners are aware of all those metrics and principles in the processes. But I mean, for the first year, if some company is doing that, 3-4 months will just go into, doing the desktop analysis and collecting data from different stakeholders. What are the material IROs or the impact risk or opportunities or the KPIs they need to define? So I think it will take significant amount of time in doing that exercise for the first time. And then 3-4 months will be going on, collecting data, validating and reviewing data, maybe writing the disclosures and the narrative, and then maybe few months on, getting the assurance, because it's a bit different here in Europe, because they take the assurance provider or the auditors. First, they check the report, they review the report, and the report, goes public. So in that sense, it's a whole 1 year on process, I'll say, which goes on. Yeah. Maybe we can go to the next slide, Khushbu. Yeah, then you can take the BRSR framework.
Thank you, Shilpa. Thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule and taking up this session on our invite. Now, before we
Thank you
start
so
the
much.
second, it's a pleasure. Yeah. Before we start the second part of the session, like we do in all our webinars, I would like to invite one of our members, Mr. Lekhak Agarwal, to say a few words on his journey with our Track as well as his career. Lekhak, over to you.
Thank you so much, Neeraj sir, for inviting me as a in between the webinar and all the honor. And thank you so much, Shilpa ma'am. I was listening to you so much carefully, because this is something new to listen and learn for me as well. Because by profession, so let me introduce myself to all of you. Myself, Lekhak Agarwal. I am a company secretary and cost accountant, holding 11 qualifications in my portfolio, 5 from India and six from overseas. I have done 4 diplomas from Germany, and obtained 1 strategic management course from UK, and I am also a member of the CIPF Institute of UK. So, and I am working as a international strategic business developer based off Jaipur, Rajasthan, and I am helping the Indian corporates who wish to expand their global footprints across the globe. So, and major working in the countries like USA, UK, Australia, Canada, Europe, Middle East, and Southern Asian countries. And we do have our own offices in USA, Canada, Europe, in Brussels, in Europe, Dubai, and Indonesia, Jakarta, and in India, different locations in India. And I have started the fintech journey with Neeraj almost more than 1.5 years back. And it was really an amazing journey with Neeraj under the dynamic, young and dynamic leadership of Neeraj. I would rather say कि अगर हिंदी में अगर सब comfortable हो तो पता पड़ता है कि नीरज जी is just like कि the one florist who make all of us and उन्होंने हम सबको एक माला के रूप में पिरो रखा है, एक जो मालाकार होता है उसने हम सबको एक माला के रूप में पिरो रखा है. तो नीरज जी playing the very important role for all the fintech people. So thank you so much, Neeraj ji, for contributing and playing a key role for all of us. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Lekha ji, for the wonderful words. Because we are short on time, we have to move forward.
Yeah, definitely, sir, definitely.
Let me introduce our second speaker of the day, Ms. Khushbu Agarwal. Khushbu ji is a fellow member of ICSI. She's also registered with IBPI as a registered valuer for security and financial assets. She has more than 9 years of experience in corporate law, merger and acquisition. She has done LLB, Master in Commerce and Master in Journalism and Mass Communication. Khushbu ji has a post-qualification certificate course in intellectual property rights, and she's also an independent director, and she has passed the social impact assessment exam conducted by NISM. Khushbu ji, thank you for taking our invite and agreeing to become part of this session as a speaker for the Indian part. I don't know, how do you manage so many, you have so many feathers in your cap, how do you manage everything together? And we are really hoping that interested in what you are going to, what topic or what area you are going to cover. Khushbu ji, all over to you.
Thank you, Neeraj. And recently, I have also done this. Last year, I have done this advanced ESG practitioners course where I have got detailed upon how this ESG frameworks work, how the BRSR reporting is just a part, how this thing is coming up in India. As we know, this journey has started long back into 2009 when this MCA issued this CSR guidelines and voluntary CSR reporting began. Now it is mandatory, but it was like voluntary earlier. Then in 2012, SEBI mandated this BRR report. It was there in top listed companies. Then it grows. Then this NGB RBC guidelines come, the 9 core principles, which we will see here as well. Then 2021, the major thing happened when this BRSR reporting came, and it replaces the earlier BRR reporting, as BRSR has a more comprehensive framework for the top listed companies. Now in 2023, as Neeraj has discussed earlier, BRSR Light and Core introduced with assured KPIs, valuation reporting, and external assurance equipments. Still companies are doing, but still there are things which are evolving in the global level and India level also. Though the top 1000 listed companies are doing it out of SEBI requirements, but there are also companies which are doing it on a voluntary basis, because they will know more about it is or BRSR reporting or any kind of this ESG, as we see as a whole, it will impact our reputation while we are doing business also. Investors, whoever invest in business, if they say the company is good in governance, environment respect, social aspect, they have a more trust, as we know. So BRSR reporting also give us that kind of reputation. So as we can see, the lender requirements, investor due diligence, customer supply chain, all depends on these factors and these reporting frameworks. So structure is management and process disclosure, general disclosure, principal wise performance disclosure. We can see directly from the Reliance how they are doing this disclosure thing. So as mentioned here, general disclosure, management and process disclosure, principle wise performance disclosure. In general disclosure, if we say about the information about the company, how this company, where this company is operated, how many branches or operations, national or international, what are the product segment reporting they are doing. Like Reliance is there in oil and chemical, oil and gas also, and what are the products and services sold by the company. All these are covered in the general disclosure. How many employees are there, employees, worker, differently abled also, differently abled workers, employees, men, women, gender parity, which we were discussing earlier, participation, inclusion of the board of directors, KMPs. So these are all general disclosures. Holding subsidiary, how many, Reliance 3112, 312, holding and subsidiary companies. So these all comes under this general disclosure. Then comes upon this material things, management and process. Management in process, ESG second part, social and governance. As we know, in social and governance comes is how our company is making impact socially, whether it is through how the employees are there, what is the male female ratio, whether it is through the CSR, how the company is making an impact on the outside world, whether it is governance, what is the board composition, how is the board composition, whether the women director is, as we know in Reliance also there is women in independent director. So these all comes. Principle wise, if you see the third concept, it's a long, if we want to see, we can just read the report and our leisure time and know better. So section 3 is about the how the business conduct and govern themselves with integrity and ethical, transparent, accountable. Whatever we do in a business, we are accountable. We are responsible. So companies need to think how they are doing it. If they are also doing for the right first time or every time, they cannot harm the environment per se, the employees, the peripherals. These are all impacted here. It's a very big, so I am just touching upon. So this is the 9th principle, is the third disclosure requirements. So these all the factors, human rights, environment, public policy, inclusive growth, all are covered here. This Shilpa was discussing earlier about the KPI. Environment KPI, what we are doing, scope 1 and 2, scope 3, emissions, social KPI, gender diversity at board. When we see gender composition of board, we say workforce level, how is the employee turnover, training hours, occupational health and safety, whether the employees have their insurance or not. The big companies are doing it anyway. Now with the BSR framework, it is that we can measure and we can tell how more our companies is compliant with this. CSR expenditure is there, 2% they have to spend on the CSR activities. Now with this impact assessment, we can assess how, if we are spending this 2% of our net profit, whether it is impacting, what is the broader impact. In social audit also we are doing this, what is this happening and what is the big outcome, big result, or it is a process thing. So these are all covered under this KPI. At governance level also talks about the corporate governance, so board composition and independence, anti-corruption policies, complaints and grievance redressal mechanism, whistleblower cases, RPT. We have recently come across judgments or ROC orders where the related party transaction, the director of the companies are penalized. The CS is penalized because she couldn't identify or when the RPT's transaction were doing. So these whole things are covered in the BRSR core. This we have discussed about this process. Shilpa has already discussed. So challenges, as we were discussing, as this report is very vast and comprehensive, so we have to gather too many of data from all the departments. And as we have discussed scope 3 emissions, where we have given our products to third party, how they are managing and how this is creating this carbon footprint. So this value chain information collection is very critical and difficult. And ESG data, it's our ERP's integration gaps as well. So manual consolidation is done and it increases the error risk. While we measure scope 3, calculating upstream and downstream emissions require methodology. Many companies are still developing. So for scope 3 measurement, it is now also its ongoing process and we are facing challenges for this. So there are challenges still in the VRSR, yet companies are coming up with the report with some disclaimer. As we have to collect data from many departments, so there is a limited internal ownership as well. And we know it is mandatory for top 1000 companies. So there are also some companies treat it as a regulatory checkbox. So just for the compliance purpose, they are preparing, they are not going deep into the subject. For external assurances, it requires audit trails, documented methodology, internal control. As Shilpa was discussing about how they are doing the audits, how they are checking the things. So this readiness is still a challenge for us. Another is this record keeping. Varying standards across department make data collection time consuming and error prone. Still, we are running on a system where different departments have their own kind of data management, or MIS is not that strong. In this, we face the challenges. There are some examples. So our takeaway would be sustainability reporting, how it will come from the voluntary to the mandatory level. Though some companies are doing out of mandatory requirement, though companies are doing, so how we can convert from the voluntary to mandatory. We have to treat it as it is not a compliance tool, but a governance tool. It will increase the reputation of our company to our stakeholders, whether it is investor, whether it is lender, consumers. It will be good. It will have a good impact on them. So good BRSR reporting requires internal coordination. As we have seen in the challenges, internal or ownership, there is limitations. And when we do stronger ESG disclosure, it will attract more capital and customers. Capital in the sense, companies are doing so many things, they need always working capital, they are going for loans. If their ESG disclosure is good, they will always get this capital requirement done and customer will have faith upon them. So we have to bring it together, all the global action and the Indian action. So in India, BRSR is structured response. We can come when this 9 principles we can run our BRSR reporting. We can run our company on this 9 principle, and it is important not just for the listed companies, for the large unlisted companies which are facing lender, investor, or customer expectation. At last, I will say financial statements tell how company performed in the past, but sustainability reporting, it will tell us whether the company is prepared for the future. As financial statement, we say it's just a past performance of the last financial year, but if the company is doing well, the CSR reporting, it will tell about the future, how it is prepared for the future. For the governance, advisors will help board to understand this BRSR as a strategic tool. So ESG performance is linked to risk management and long-term value creation. For the finance team as well, ESG data will be as complicated or as rigor with the financial data. And we have to build the internal data infrastructure now for doing this sustainability reporting. So We have to map this NGRBC principal coverage and engage value chain partners early on the scope 3 data. This is for my side only. So Q&A for Shilpa and me, you can say. I don't have much practical experience on this, but still I am learning.
Yes, Mr. Sundaram, you have one query. Kindly unmute yourself and
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
This seems to be a very elaborate exercise to be done
Yes,
by
it is.
the companies and requires a lot of human resource or manpower, whatever we call it as. And of course, management also have to shell out a lot of money. And as you said, they're also it's evolving. My question here is, what is that a board should see as an important disclosure or kind of you said it's not a compliance, right? It's more of an internal evaluation. So what is that board should see to pass it on to the next year or next level?
Sir, as you
From
see
your
the
understanding.
yes, sir. As we see, as a compliance person myself. So when we prepare the BRSR reporting, there are different departments we see, and the board is also seeing how the data is collected and how the final outcome is coming. If there is some discrepancy, or if there is some lacuna in the reporting, or we are where we are going wrong in our system, whether it is environment respect we are not giving, or we are harming something in the social aspect, if there we are not gender, we are going gender bias, or if the governance level board composition is not that good, if there is some disputes among the employees. So overall this reporting will tell the board itself what is going wrong. Unless we know what is going wrong, we can't correct it. Any senior members, you can also share your experience.
So just to add on a question, is there any
Yes.
standards available for all these things?
Yeah, GRI standard is
Yes,
there in yes, ma'am.
in India also we have sustainability standards issued by the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. They are carved out from GRI and the IFRS S1 and S2, and they are adapted basically for the Indian BRSR. So you can refer to those, and the guidance notes are elaborate. They will help you understand the linkages between what is compliance and what is actually relevant to the business, in identifying the impact, risks, and opportunities.
Any more questions, anyone?
Anybody has any other question? I have one question from Shilpa. Shilpa, since you have been involved with practical application of the entire sustainability report in your company, can you give me just one example of a very difficult challenge which you face on a practical level implementing these sustainability reports in your company? Any specific practical challenges?
The most important challenge I think arises when the companies are still very new. It comes to the documentation. So let's say even if companies are doing some process, but they don't document it. Let's say like an informal process you do within the team, and then you go to the next step, but you are not documenting it in a way that auditors could actually check process happened and all those steps were met, and because you are not doing this at that stage when that process was happening, it is very difficult to do that process when the auditors arise and they ask for those kind of documents. So that's one of the biggest challenges, preparing those documentation, especially on the governance around different processes.
Thank you, Shilpa.
Absolutely, Shilpa. That is something that even I have experienced, that we typically treat it as a compliance and try to document it at the end of the period instead of doing it on a continuous basis.
Yes, absolutely. That's what it's a year throughout the year process, and we have to continuously build the process and documentation for making the numbers ready for the auditors, and also it also gives us comfort in the sense that when we are doing that exercise for the next year, you have the baseline to compare and to improve. If you are not doing something you always can go back to those documentation and build upon them.
Thank you, Shilpa. Anybody has any other query before we conclude the meeting?
Rather than a query, I just have a suggestion for Shilpa and Khushbu. Since you are in two different domains, Khushbu, you're dealing with BRSR, and Shilpa, you're dealing with CSRD. If you can find what are parallels and where are the divergences in the two reporting frameworks, that would be very helpful.
Sorry, I just lost connection with Anuradha, so I couldn't hear what she was saying.
Your voice was cracking actually.
I see. I'll just shut my video and then stay back. Okay, what I was saying was that Shilpa is working with CSD and Khushbu is working with BI and have a comparison of the two, find where there are convergences and where there are divergences. Help us deal with clients who are having exports to the EU and are also having reporting for BRSR.
So I couldn't get, I think there was some internet lag. But
Yes,
Anuradha, I think you can write your query or suggestions to me on WhatsApp also, and I'll forward it to the speakers. Since we don't have any other questions from the audiences, I think we can conclude today's session. A very heartfelt thank you to both the speakers, Khushbu and Shilpa, who have taken out time from your busy schedules to participate today and give such an enlightening session on global as well as Indian practices in ESG. ESG obviously continues to be a rapidly evolving field, and we hope that in the near future we will have more such webinars, and we can dig into your brains like how what you are doing with the in the ESG field. For the audiences, thank you for joining. We have shared the links to our contents and blogs of our couple of websites. And this with the recording of today's meeting will be recorded on our YouTube channel also, which will be shared with all the audiences member who have registered for the event. With this, I would formally conclude today's session. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining, and special thanks to our speakers. Thank you.
Anuradha is
Thank you.
written her question about this BRSR and CSRD convergences and divergence mapping will be helpful. How?
This is more like a suggestion. I think this is
Yes,
she was
yes.
suggesting.
Mhm.
So definitely we'll look into it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.